watching Fox News.
Welcome to Foxy News. I'm Vixen, and today we continue our sub-12 slug journey in 3 parts. First, we take a look at Engineer A's incredible FX M4, which is shooting Zan 13s beautifully. Then check out the South Harts Airgun Center, otherwise known as, Shag. While we are there, we will see if there is any potential for slugs in UK bench rest competitions.
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the track.
Our first stop takes us to the Midlands, and it is blowing a gale. Very fresh left to right crossing wind and pretty much all over the place. And Engineer A, who's recently joined our group, our research group, was very interested in the expansion of slugs. When he saw some previous videos on this channel, he bought some Pro Hunter slugs, and that sorted out his rat shooting, and he said it massively improved the stopping power. After all, a rat's not going to run off if it doesn't have half its head. What Engineer A is interested in is how well slugs can perform in the wind, and he found that they could be very good if you increase the weight a little bit to 13 grains. His favourite was the Zan 13s, closely followed by the Pro Hunter 13s, and take a look at how the landing where he wants. And excuse the pun, he was blown away by how they could buck the wind. This kind of perfection does not come cheap. Engineer A is going to walk through his setup, which I consider to be a super weapon in terms of a slug-singing air gun.
So you want to be a player, but your wheels ain't flying. You gotta hit us up to get a pimped out ride.
This is my FX Impact Mark IV setup for slug testing and nighttime winter shooting, mostly rats. I've got the FX specific Donny FL mod on it. Super quiet, tier 1 attack bipod. Mainly because it's light if you're carrying it around, and it also has adjustment so you can get down really low if you're shooting towards the ground. I've got the compact Arca rail on it for weight considerations, and also the tier 1 bipod is carbon and it's really lightweight. Got the Sekhmet gauges on there. Sekhmet particularly useful for setting the regular rate of pressure accurately and also making sure you've got no creep. And we've got the Kram high capacity magazine. Not ideal for slugs, it's dual purpose, so pellets and slugs. And I have got some slug specific smaller capacity ones that I think will be more suitable coming. I've got the Alpex 4 Pro on there, and 4 Lite, sorry. I moved away from a DRS to my Impact for slug tuning sub 12, mainly because we've got the power wheel on there for reducing power. So some slugs I've found, although they're unsuitable for going at 11.5 or 11.3 foot-pounds, which is typical with this gun setup as purchased sub 12 shooting JSB heavies at about 11.5. Some slugs actually want to go slower, so ideally suited at about 10.8 or 10.9 foot-pounds. So the advantage over the DRS is you can tune it down.
This is an elite setup and worth it, I think, if you've got the money. But if you don't, there are other options. Stay with us and we'll go through that. Our next stop is the Hertfordshire-Buckinghamshire border, and the wind is pretty bad here. We'll show that in a little bit. And we're using a trusty HW100, and as you can see, it's around half the total cost, and we'll see how it performs with slugs. With pellets, this is a very capable rifle, JSB heavies. This is at 75 yards, so I wouldn't recommend hunting at this speed on at this distance. I know that it's a controversial topic. I wouldn't, but nevertheless shows that it's an accurate system. And is it good enough for bench rest? I don't know. Can it send slugs at bench rest? Well, why don't we find out? Before shooting slugs after shooting pellets, it's always advisable to clean the barrel first and pull through.
2 very boring minutes later.
The HJ100 has got a really long thread.
Many unbearable hours later.
I'll tell you what, let's go and explore the South Hearts Airgun Centre while we're doing this. So if you're in this kind of area, there's a lot to be excited about. This is a club that hasn't really launched yet. It's just being set up. And there's a lot going on. There's bench rest being set up, which we're going to go on to in a little bit and actually test it with slugs. You have a nice plinking zero range. They started out with airsoft, and now they're branching out into all things airgun. On this particular day, there was an HFT competition going on, and they were really struggling in the wind. Not many achieved a score above 50. In fact, I think the top shot was 53, and I'm not sure anyone else got into the 50s, and there were quite a few people attending. These HFT competitions are taking place once a month at the moment, and there's discussions around membership options and all the rest. So please do contact Barry if you're interested using that email address.
How you doing, all right?
This is the same day as the Midlands footage from earlier in this video. It's not as windy, but it's still pretty breezy. And it's not the kind of weather that I would choose to go hunting in. And we can see what kind of effect that has on these bench rest targets. Now the silence is finally coming off. We can see how long this thread is. And we're actually thinking, probably if we chop it off, so you've still got enough thread for a silencer. But you get less friction because some of the choke's gone. We're pulling this through, and there's no metal on this pull through. I thought I might just mention and show it. I don't like anything metal going in my barrel if I can avoid it. But like I said, pull through the barrel before using slugs, and think about disregarding the first group. This is an SMW Engineering slug design magazine that was featured in the previous video, and it's good. Found that it does reduce launch errors. We've loaded it with Zan 13 grain slugs, exactly the same ones that we've used in the Midlands the same day. These are being sent at a fairly consistent 10 foot-pounds. So I'm not really sure how to interpret these results. From a pest control perspective, I think I would be reasonably happy. And the reason why I say that is because let's take the worst one that's furthest away from the centre. Less than a quarter of an inch. So in theory, 25 metres. Quarter of an inch could be, say, half an inch at 50 metres, or around 55 yards. And that falls within my 1 inch rule that I have to be within, on the rabbits, have to be within an inch group size to justify taking the shot. The second group does appear to be a little bit more consistent, and I can't help but think that possibly if I was I'm going to do a proper zero on this. If I was one click down and one click to the left, maybe I might have been center on this one, this one, maybe this one. There's quite a fair bit of consistency there. I'm a little curious about why that went so high and that went low. And actually, I did find something I think was probable cause there. And we'll go on to that in just a bit. I pulled through again and loaded up with the Pro Hunter 9.7 grains. Pro Hunter 9.7s were arguably that little bit more accurate than the Zan 13s. Keep in mind this was very windy conditions, and I can't help but think that let's imagine that these ones that are hit low had gone a bit higher, consistently higher each time. They could have all cut into the 10s. What do you think? And out of these, you've got these that were probably the right elevation, 3, the majority low. But in my head, I'm thinking something is a little bit off here. I don't think it's the wind pushing them up, which I know could happen. I think it's something else. So I did another group, and let's see what happened there. So the first 2 I was happy with. They went where I was aiming. And then the third went low, much like the group above. 4th went back up again, slightly low, and then at this point, I concluded that something was wrong. Didn't think it was the wind, and I found out what it was, and it was to do with the pod clip-on. It wasn't secured tight enough, which I think was introducing a parallax error.
Time for your next adventure.
No idea what I'm gonna do tomorrow. How exciting. No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
Smile, my boy.
So after tightening the screws that were a little bit loose on the pod clip-on and not touching the pod with my eye, so it's kind of, when you put that on a scope and the scope's where you want it to be, it comes quite far back. So I feel like I end up pressing my eye against it, which is a little bit disconcerting if you're used to centerfire. You definitely don't want to do that unless you want to get sniper eye. But I feel as though it improved this, and I put this one down to the wind. And other than that, you don't really get this whole up-down thing that we had before. Certainly not to the same extent anyway. If you're keen on shooting slugs in sub 12 and budget is tight, you might want to consider a BSA Ultra, either the MNC or the SE version. The newer ones I'm not too sure about. And you could just have it as it is, £350, something like that. This one's been quite heavily modified, and I really like it. I'm using a 3D printed magazine as like a single shot loader type thing. I found that helps reduce launch errors. This has a really long Ratwork cylinder, which really improves the shot count. But again, these kind of things are optional. You don't have to have them. Pro Hunter slugs out of the BSA Ultra. I think it did reasonably well, and I'm really struggling a little bit with not being able to have a basis for comparison. Venturist is pretty alien to me. I need to look into it a bit more, and I feel a bit embarrassed that I don't know more about this discipline, because I can see the appeal of it. We're going to do something similar inside in a sterile environment, no wind. We know that slugs outperform in the wind, so let's do it inside.